it's Rebecca from the Good Stitchery. I'm here with the final part of my sampler hat. So I finished my white hat, so after the chevron section and the diamond brocade, I did a decreasing rib up to the top until I couldn't really do any more with it because there weren't enough stitches, and then I binded it off and stitched the top shut. And I still had a little bit of my skein yarn left. So after this hat, after the other hat's done, I'll weigh them both and we'll see what we had for final yardage counts in terms of how much yarn I used. So we're going to be doing the same thing with this hat. I'm going to go as far as I can on the circulars before changing over to the double pointed needles. I mean, it's not an overly complicated technique. It starts, I wrote this myself, so I apologize if it's a little confusing, but I was doing the math myself. So starts with knit 3, purl 5 the whole way around, and then knit 3, purl 3 plus purl 2 together to do a decrease, knit 3, purl 4, knit 3, purl 2 plus purl 2 together, knit 3, purl 3. I apologize for all the noise. It's both the neighbors and the traffic is being super loud today. Alright, where was I? Knit 3, purl 3. And then I did a decrease on the knit part, so knit 1, knit 2 together, purl 3, knit 2, purl 3, knit 2, purl 1 together. Purl 1, purl 2 together, knit 2, purl 2. So on this one, as I was going, I decided to go even further. So after that row, I did knit 2, purl 2 together, and then, knit 2, purl 1. And then for the final decrease, I did knit 1, knit, a knit, and a purl together. So then I just had, I think it was 16 stitches left at that point, and then I bound off and closed the top. So that is as tight as I could get with this one. If I can get as tight with this one, I'll do that. If it gets to the point where I can't really work with it before that, then I'll bind off before that. But I'm just going to go through and do all my decreases in time lapse, and then we'll just finish off the hat, and we'll talk about it a bit as well as what's coming up for future knitting videos. Both hats are done. I'm just going to weigh them real quick to figure out how many yards I used. So for hat 1, I was using Classic Bulky by Sorella, which is 106 yards to 100 grams. I was just going to weigh this part, but then I remembered I used a different color for the brim part, so I'm going to just try to fold it up and hopefully fit it on here. Is that in grams? Yes, it is. It should be. I really only use this for grams. Are you going to let me do this? Nope. Try this way. Also, it's saying like 97 grams. So if that's correct, it uses almost one full skein. Alright, and for this one I will just weigh this part because that's easier. So that's 34 grams, so hat 2 is 100 minus 34, which is 66. Yeah, 66 grams. So like 2/3 of a skein. Alright, that's pretty cool. I did use different needle sizes, and now that I'm actually writing this out, I'm realizing that the weights of the yarn were different enough so that it might matter. So I'm going to make sure I write down all of that when I finish typing up this pattern. So for hat 1, I used 6.5 millimeter needles, and for hat 2, I used 7 millimeter needles. So I used the bigger needles on the thinner yarn, which probably explains why this one looks so much different. But I do like how they both came out, and I've tried them both on already. They both fit, so the difference in fit is not significant. It's more just I feel like the patterns pop out more on this one where I used the smaller needles, while they're not maybe as popped out on the man-eater one. Could also just be a trick of the light or the way the yarn catches the light too, because this is a more matte yarn while this is a shinier yarn. So those are things to keep in mind when you're planning your project. Alright, so that finishes this particular sampler hat pattern. I'm sure I'll do this again in the future. For now though, I've already started on my next glitched knits segment. So I've started working on the first sample hat for a series about cables, so you can expect that in the future. Probably not until September, because it's going to take me some time to knit all my samples. Might even be later than September, I'm not sure. I'm also hoping in the near future to start my first pairs of knit socks. I spun some yarn for them during Tour de Fleece, and now it's just a matter of actually making them. So I'm going to do a video on preparing for knitting my first pair of socks. So I'll just talk about materials, tools, have links to a bunch of patterns I found that I think could be helpful, that sort of stuff. And then from there I'll work on making some socks. So yeah, you can expect all of that in future glitched knit segments. And I'm sure there'll be some other stuff too, especially if I find more patterns that really catch my interest, because diamond brocade in particular is so cool. I'm in love with it. If I can find more stuff as cool as that, I'll probably do videos on that as well. So that is it. If you need the written pattern, there's a link in the description to my blog. The hat and the written pattern will have materials list, tools list, as well as the typed out pattern for each of the 3 sections. Alright, I guess that's it. I hope to see y'all again soon, and thank you so much for watching.